All right, everybody, welcome back. New World Fantasy Football, doing a special mock draft. We got some familiar faces here today. Of course, you know Paul, and we've got returning as guest Kyle, a.k.a. Subu, and Jeremy Aron Rodriguez, along with a new guest on here, Juan Carvajal. We're all fantasy football degenerates and ready to do a pretty saucy mock draft. How you guys doing?
Beautiful.
Doing great.
Doing great. You excited? Shitting your pants for this
It's
mock?
a beautiful Sunday. I told my wife I'd have all my work done in 2 hours, and here I am here.
We're making a liar out of you.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Juan, I need you to corroborate this story. This is very important tech system stuff that I had to do. I had to walk away for 2 hours for this. Just
You mean
FYI.
Schmidt's? We gotta blur that out.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to submit some PTO.
Yeah, we're not
make
making
sure.
government names either, right?
I'll make sure their
On,
your wives/girlfriends are subscribed so they can see these lying.
Yeah, that'll be the day.
He will never watch anything fantasy football related. We can get her to watch real football.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, I'm gonna go ahead and start this draft. So, well, actually, no, I'm not. Real quick, say where we're at. We've got Juan Carvajal. He's the one and only over there. Pick number 3.
Juan and only.
We've got Kief, my co-host Paul Kiefer, at 7. We've got Kyle being real brave with the sandwich at 8. We've got myself and my lucky number 9. And then we've got the bravest of us all is Jeremy, who's bringing up the rear at the 12th pick, but he's going to get a nice turnaround. So
Yeah.
without further ado, man, I'm going to go ahead and
Keep it
start this
round.
draft. Boom.
And away we go.
All right. We got Jefferson and McCaffrey
Okay.
off the board, which is pretty chalk. By the way, half PPR. So
I was literally gonna ask that. I was like, "Yo, was I not paying attention?" Like, what's the
no,
rule
I
set?
didn't say that half PPR. So we got Juan on the clock, and how you feeling, Juan?
I'm feeling great. To be a fantasy degenerate, and the first time I look at any sort of cheat sheet or roster, it doesn't really align with my preparation. But I think I'm just gonna go ahead and go safe with the number 1 projection. Boy Eckler.
Cool.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with that pick.
That's solid.
Boring.
Because that's who you ended up with in our real draft last year.
That's right.
But he did not stay on your team.
He did not. He got drafted.
Bringing up
some
old
think
history,
that it was an
Paul.
unfair draft, but after the results, I'm gonna have to argue that one.
Okay, so then
we've got Chase going after. We've got Kelsey, who seems to be in all these mocks going right at 5 for whatever reason. That's just where he goes. And Cooper Kupp right after that. All good picks. Really hard to make a bad pick here unless you go with Eli Manning or Boomer Esiason. So
Yeah.
where you at, Paul?
I don't necessarily love this area of the draft this year.
You mean you guys next to each other like you're at a urinal? Like
Yeah. I'm looking over.
Paul, Kyle, and Marchese all just like bam, bam, bam. You guys violated.
I may not be the biggest in the world, but I'm at least the biggest in this room.
Damn.
All right. Well, that's it. Grab the rulers.
Truthful.
Stop the recording.
All right,
That'll be at the end of the podcast.
We're
Okay.
talking about
The end of this
y'all
episode.
adjusted though. We're talking about y'all adjusted.
All right, so here's the challenge that I'm having. It's spoiler, it's gonna be Bijan Robinson, but my freaking view is like overly zoomed, and I can't actually click the button to actually do
How is
that.
that? How,
Damn.
so you're on your phone or you on a computer?
No, dude, it's fucking Apple. Just reason number 8,000 why I changed my mind. One, I'm still never getting a damn iPhone. This shit pisses me off. I finally figured it out.
You got these on? All right, cool.
Yeah, I don't think
Great
so.
analysis, bro.
Man. What?
So Paul, let me ask-
What's the
I'm taking
yeah.
Bijan. My screen zoomed in.
yeah, what's your reasoning for Bijan over players like a Saquon or a Tyreek there?
Youth and opportunity. He has the least injury concerns of the top running backs that I'm looking at that point. I think the receiver tier break has already happened to me. And I'm going to take a guy that I think still has a chance to be, a top 2 to 3 scorer at his position, with the preseason hype. Plus, I've actually never taken him in a mock, so I'm just kind of interested to see what happens with the rest of my team if I start it this way.
Very cool. Very cool. Fun fact: the best season of any rookie running back's career. Well, 31% of the times is their rookie season. So, not a bad pick. Not a bad gamble.
Because they're fresh. They haven't been tainted yet.
31% of the time, it's every time.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
you're
love
still
the
playing for
upside.
Atlanta, though.
They got a good old line.
I do love
Which-
the upside of Bijan. Like,
Yeah.
I've heard of people taking him even earlier in drafts, which, I wouldn't be upset about that.
Take a rookie for sure, but I just,
The excitement factor of Bijan of just
Yeah.
having that rookie is fun in fantasy.
Yeah,
Does he take-
absolutely.
Kyle?
I mean, this is, to me, this is a no-brainer where I'm at. I mean, we talk about excitement factor, and this guy, literally screams it. I do think that after this pick, Mr. Tyreek Hill, there is a drop-off in talent. I will put Tyreek in the top tier. I think you can make a case he has a better year than Jefferson, Chase, or Cooper Kupp. I mean, that is a very real possibility. So, assuming Tua doesn't get concussed more than he already has. So that's the gamble, really. But yeah, I'm
Are
taking
we
Tyreek Hill
assuming
here.
that?
Are we what?
Are we assuming that?
That Tua gets concussed again, or Tyreek's going to ball out?
I'm saying, well, either or. Like, is that a safe assumption that Tua does not get concussed? That was my concern.
no.
I mean, I think everywhere it could all be an assumption, right? Like anyone can get injured. We got some history. I'm surprised that you put Bijan Robinson over Nick Chubb, to be honest. Now with Tyreek Hill, not Tyreek Hill, I'm sorry. Kareem Hunt just getting out of the team. But it could be an assumption in any way where Robinson, hasn't proven himself in the league, and you can look at it the same way for homeboy. So
Kareem Hunt's opportunity share last season, I think you would be surprised how low it really was.
Second half of the season, he was just like dead. He was gone.
Yeah, he wasn't pulling away opportunity from. I was taking a really long, hard look at Chubb. Pause.
Yeah, you were.
I did really consider him. He would have been there for me. But just in terms of, I think running back is a young man's game. That's why I kind of went that route. But it was a hair split. I'm not with Saquon this year. Not draft anyway.
Staying away from him.
I certainly am with Saquon. Spoiler alert, that's going to be my pick. I'll just go ahead and pick him now.
Would you pick Saquon over Robinson, though, Marchese, if you had the chance?
I know you want that information.
No, not really.
But like,
for the sake of the podcast.
Truthfully, I like them both. I don't know. I think that's a very real decision I may face in a few weeks here. And I'm fine with either one. I'm probably leaning Bijan just because of the lesser workload, to be honest with you. But I'm very happy with Saquon. I mean, he's still going to be featured. Dable has worked wonders with this offense. And I think with the addition of a guy like John Michael Schmitz, hopefully Evan Neal starts improving. The O-line should be better. There's more weapons. Like, the whole offense should be the tide is raising on the Giants offense, in my opinion. And I think Saquon's going to be plenty efficient, not have to get run into the ground, and hopefully his production is more spread out instead of concentrated in the first half of the season. So I'm very happy with Saquon. I'm never going to be upset with him at 9 overall. So that's my analysis.
Yeah, that's totally justifiable. CD and AJ Brown went back to back for the bots, and now we are up on Jeremy.
Thank you, Paul.
Well, I don't think I could really call myself a Giants fan without having an opinion on Saquon. It's a name that we've heard a lot of in the offseason, and naturally, beyond just the contract negotiations and his obvious talent, he's being often compared or dubbed as like Bijan Robinson is like the best since Saquon, and like even though he's had those injury mired seasons, like the natural train of thought is like, even though he had his like bumps and bruises last year, now we have a lot more like high-end talent on the line. We have an offensive coordinator who knows how to get the best from his weapons. We have like more receiving weapons on the perimeter and in the slot and at tight end to try to create more opportunities to give Saquon lighter boxes, so he doesn't have to have these like games where he needs to touch the ball 30 times. Because Saquon, even though he's gotten better with the 2 yards and a cloud of dust types runs, he's still a home run hitter, and that's the thing that you're looking for in not just in the NFL but in fantasy, right? Why else would Tyreek Hill be considered like Kyle said overall to be like, oh, he could be my wide receiver 1 overall? It's because sure, he can get the volume, whatever, but we all know he's the dude that once he gets behind you, you are fucked.
Yeah.
Like the dude is gonna get downfield, score a touchdown, and make you hit you with the deuce.
And he can beat you, like, even if he's not behind you, he can just run around you. He's got explosive potential all over.
Yeah.
And I think Saquon does too. So
yeah. No,
anyway, who you got, Jeremy? You got 2 picks. So you gotta maybe you don't have a lot to think about, but
well, honestly, I guess I'll just look at the board here. So half point PPR. So Stephon Diggs makes for a good on that next tier. I mean, he's had the number 1 overall wide receiver performances like in his first year in Buffalo. So he's a solid option there. You got Tay Adams, who granted he's experiencing a little bit of a quarterback downgrade, is a superb talent, like one of the great separators in the league for years now. But I think I'd probably lean towards a more balanced approach. There's a lot of buzz about 0 RB right now in the ether, and that's well and great, but even like late round backs respectively don't always return that top 5 type upside, at least not in a season long capacity, maybe down the stretch in a per game points per game basis. So I think I'll probably err on the side of conservatism and take a more balanced approach by just locking in a wide receiver 1 in Stephon Diggs, so I don't have to go pacing speculative options, second year breakouts, like what have you, and just secure an asset on a team we know is going to score a lot of points with top tier quarterback play. And then my next pick will be someone who I'm not entirely inspired in regards to quarterback play per se, but I don't think it could be any worse than what it was last year. He is a top 5 perennial rusher in this league with underrated hands, and that will be Sir Nicholas Chubb to round out the turn, if you will.
Sweet. Very nice picks.
Nice one.
You've got good talent at your RB1 and your wide receiver 1 spot, so nothing wrong with that.
The bots jumped on the Jonathan Taylor.
They did.
I was waiting for that one.
Devontae Adams is like,
bro. I was sweating if that was going to come back to me.
Devontae Adams is the guy who I would have loved to fall back to me, because I do feel like, all right, there's somewhat of that tier break after him, after Devontae Adams. I'm looking at amon-ra. I'm looking at Garrett Wilson. I'm looking at Jalen Waddle. And while they're fantastic players, I don't think that they're as good as Adams. And I think Adams is QB proof. JT is a ticking time bomb, in my opinion. I don't want any part of that. So that leaves me with, do I go with Patrick Mahomes? Well, I'm not going to take a quarterback that early. I don't feel the need to do it.
Scaring me for a second there.
I can take a Derrick Henry, which I quietly had like 1,900 yards last year between rushing and receiving.
I was gonna say, Andrew, that's been a quiet player that I feel like everyone's just waiting for that.
Yeah,
But
they want the shoe to drop, but it just hasn't yet, and
it
it's
just
like
doesn't happen.
right. So his O-line apparently sucks, but it hasn't really. I don't think it really matters because once he gets to the second level, it's really, really difficult for linebackers, especially DBs, to bring him down. So, anyways, I don't have to try to break down everything about it. I'd love to grab a receiver, but I just don't think that I want one of those guys this early. I'm going to go ahead and take Derrick Henry. And with that, I will say how fantasy football has changed over the years. Our first round had 4 running backs. And
That's crazy.
So eight out
Wow.
of 12 picks were non-running backs. Back in the day, that would have been flip-flopped. So pretty cool how far along it's come with value and how the league has changed.
Yeah, and it's crazy how far Derrick Henry has fallen too. I mean, he was like a no-brainer top 3 pick, 2-3 years ago, and he is kind of like an afterthought at this point.
He's a great value.
Great value. He's just not a sexy pick, and it stings because the Titans aren't good, right? But they're good enough to where Derrick Henry's gonna, he's gonna get plenty of 80-yard games with 2 touchdowns, but
and hopefully the respect of DeAndre Hopkins like loosens up the box for him a bit. Maybe won't.
Whoa.
I mean, the guy had 1,500 yards last year. He's 247 pounds, 6'3", 29 years old.
But he's almost 30, so people are scared.
Exactly.
He'll be
A
30.
lot of people are too
January.
early. A lot of people may be too early on that. I mean, the guy came back from injury and still had a top 5 finish last year. So
that's
And
true.
if he gets involved
Great
in
value
any
in the second
receiving,
round.
his value is insane. It's not expected, but even if he just does a little bit of receiving, it's like, holy crap, this guy should be a first rounder. So, anyways, I'm a fantastic drafter. Go ahead, Kyle.
You win. You won the first 2 rounds, Marchese. Congratulations.
Oh no, I don't know. I think Jeremy did.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see. I'm happy
So
you took Derrick Henry because I would have taken, I wanted this guy between the two. Josh Jacobs, he really proved me wrong last year. I thought the guy was a dud, and he put together a great season. I mean, Tyler in our own league really won on the back of Josh Jacobs. And, what was so interesting to me is that the peers in the NFL said that Josh Jacobs was, I think it was like the 11th best player in the NFL. So the dude is talented. I think that offense is going to be built around him being productive. And, Josh Jacobs at this pick is a steal, in my opinion. So
yeah, I love that pick. We just have to make sure. Well, we can't do shit about it, but hopefully he's on the field week 1 and there's the drama's subsiding over there.
that's true.
Just win, baby.
The unknown, right? Oh man.
Yeah.
I can't.
That's a great first 2 picks, man. I mean, obviously you got Reek and Jacobs, which I think that if we did not have some of this preseason weirdness with running backs, you wouldn't have gotten Josh Jacobs at that discount. So
I might have picked him there if he was available.
Hey, Marchese, did your screen freeze? with the timer?
he was probably
You're good. Sorry.
okay. Yeah, I mean, he was making my decision more difficult. It's not difficult anymore. I'm gonna take Garrett Wilson. Yes, make all the jokes about the Hard Knocks hype. Yeah, it's the hype train's out of control, but I don't think it's coming from a bad place. As a rookie, 1,104 with ass quarterback play, certified ass quarterback play.
Like Joe Wilson, who whatever, some combination of the 3. Getting every snap over there is for him to do that with those guys is pretty damn good.
Yeah, man, he's an electric second-year, highly drafted, highly touted receiving prospect who just got a quarterback upgrade. I'll buy into that hype, and if it kills me, so be it.
Smoking that Jets pack.
So we've got after that pick.
That jet pack right next to my menthols, Jeremy.
After that, we've got Amon-Ra, Sun God himself, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen were the bot teams who starting that quarterback run. So maybe Juan's getting a little scared. But, Team 5,
like to have
Team
it.
5 has got the KC stack.
Yeah.
They're not messing around. And Team 6 thought it was a full PPR league. But here we go.
I think I know who Juan's gonna pick here.
Well, your intuition will tell you Tony Pollard looks really good where he's at right now. However, there was one person that I passed on last year, not knowing much about, and ended up being an absolute stud. Got an ACL, and if I had to have him this late, I would 100% get him, and that's Breece Hall. So, hope my boy Chris Mira's listening. He's going to bowl out this year. He's going to get a lot of carries. That offense is going to be explosive. I want a little bit or all of it, whatever I can get out of it. I wanted Wilson. Thanks, Paul, for stealing him. I will pick whatever I can out of that offense. So
I'll be honest, he wasn't getting past me, so you wouldn't have got him. So Juan, basically.
Well, he did get past you. You picked Henry, and then he went.
What am I saying? Yeah, my bad. I'm an idiot.
What the hell are you talking about?
So what you're saying though, Juan, is basically you are betting on the Jets to be an awesome team this year.
Yeah, I think the Jets are going to be really good. Leadership does matter. Aaron Rodgers brings a different type of vibe and energy to the locker room. I think those O-line players are not going to want to let him down. They're going to protect him.
Stage still.
I'm sorry, what?
I said that team is in the honeymoon stage still. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
this season.
100%. But they've had 2 first-round picks in the last 2 years that are pretty solid. Breece Hall is going to be an absolute, I think, baller this year. Greg Wilson. They're just the overall defense and offense, I think, in the Jets. And again, I'm coming off the Hard Knocks, so I do have a little bit of an emotional tie. But
I have an alternative.
You bring a guy like Aaron Rodgers to the team, and that locker room's buzzing. So I just don't see them not doing well and sharing the love. Plus, my boy Aaron Jones from Green Bay, the guy was a stud. The guy was balling. Aaron likes to dump the ball a lot to the running backs. I just think Breece is going to eat this year. So
my alternative theory is that this was Juan not
next.
wanting to make the chalk pick and just do some crop dusting misdirection bullshit, because if he really loved Breece Hall, according to ADP, he could have easily just went full Viagra pill and gone 3 running backs if you wanted to. Granted, obviously, I don't know if that's the best strategy right nowadays in a wide receiver happy meta, and gone Tony Pollard and then have Breece on the turnaround there.
Scream. Scream.
That's hilarious.
Here's what I'll tell you.
Here's what I'll tell you. Analysis on that pick. Then I say,
here's what I'll tell you. This is a mock draft, so I'm not really. I already got. If you want to turn things into our league, I already got Tony on the lock. I'm not.
Whoa! Spoiler
not really
alert.
tripping on it, and I'm switching it a little bit on you. Yes, but.
Oh man.
All right. So, but you know what though? The only thing that scares me is health. I guess he's healthy. I'm not 100% sure.
He's supposed to, or they expect him to go for week 1.
Okay.
So
cool.
So YT Higgins on. You got a bunch of these other wide receiver 2s, and you got a young emerging Chris Olave, who I view very comparable to Garrett Wilson without any Hard Knocks hype. So what's the rationale for that pick?
I don't know Olave as much as you do. T. Higgins, to me, it's a safe pick right now. The guy,
great offense, great quarterback play.
Exactly, explosive offense. The guy has great hands. If it wasn't Jamar Chase, the guy will be the clear number 1 wide receiver on that team. So that's it.
For sure. I think he's a solid pick there, Juan. his numbers would have been even better if he didn't keep getting knocked out of games early last year too. So
For sure.
Right.
I mean, he started a couple of games and just got like goose eggs, you
Yeah.
know, like
Yep.
hamstring injuries, and those suck.
yeah,
So
he had one game where he's like, "All right, I'm playing," and then one play later, he's like, I'm not playing.
I'm out.
I'm
That
out.
sucks for
Yeah.
fantasy
I'm a head out.
people. Yeah, he did that. All right, I'm a head out. He's straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got, and then Olave went, who I think a lot of people have man crushes on this year. ETN, who's should lead the backfield for an improved offense in the Jags. Another very exciting team, and Jalen Hurts, who you really can't go wrong with. You're going to get tons and tons of points from your QB position with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I mean he's the best. He's the best quarterback to take early, in my opinion. Obviously,
Especially around after those other guys.
Right, exactly. And my point was going to be that Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes could still have better finishes, but Hurts is going to be right there, and you're getting around discount.
Right,
Like,
you're giving up a stud
it's a clear top 3 to me.
for sure. Makes sense. Your pick, Paul.
Yep.
Hey, let me ask you. Let's go
I
back
still got
to.
Garrett Wilson, right? I got him too.
Hey, Jeremy, I want to go back to this whole Tony Pollard thing. I don't know if I'm fully sold on the guy.
Man, dude, it took you 15 minutes to come up with a rebuttal to that. Jeez.
No. Hey,
He's
on a
on
real
tilt.
note, first of all, it was about 3-4 minutes. But yes, if you want to be exact, what I want to say
Like a
is
lifetime.
I'm not really. It took me a little time. I had to read a little bit about it. Like I said at the beginning of the call, like I haven't really done my research, but I know he had an injury. He's never really been a number 1 starter. He's a 4th round pick that I can have on lock, but I'm still sitting there like the value is good. But if I had the option to draft him in the 1st or 2nd round, I don't know if I would go for him with all the other options that I've had. So that's kind of what I wanted to.
Fragility
Wow,
comes
yeah.
for everyone. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it with some real alpha athletes in this league who've never had to split a role. So that's fair analysis. I like that rationale a lot better than your previous one. So
Somebody
Yes.
who's been very
100%.
durable is DK Metcalf.
Yes, so my pick is DK Metcalf. And the reason for my pick, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. He's a manimal.
Huge.
So, obviously, like of the picks there, once those 3 quarterbacks are going to go, I'm not looking at that position anymore. I'm not looking at tight end anymore. So now it's just straight value for me. And I believe he was the best value because he's a number 1 receiver. Some of these other guys, Devontae Smith comes to mind. Yes, like they are exciting, but they're not like the guy on their team. I'm not big on Najee Harris. He hasn't really shown me a lot of efficiency on his team. So DK, he was great last year, and I think he still has room even to improve with having the better rapport with his quarterback. So I went with that.
That's a good pick. I'm a big DK fan over here.
Rocky
I like the pick.
Yeah.
However much that you care about me liking the pick, but I like the pick.
He's due for a positive regression too with the touchdowns. I think.
I agree.
So solid.
Isn't that an oxymoron?
Yeah,
I know. It's one of those annoying things, but
fantasy people say it on podcasts.
I think I want to make sure I have shares of him actually.
what's your target market share, bro?
What's the ADP, bro? Yeah. So
hey, that one is the most appropriate.
Yeah, I don't love the pick. I'm going to take Najee here. I don't love it, but this is a guy. He had a rough year last year on a young offense. That offense was trying to figure out their identity. They had their rookie quarterback. They had some misfortune just with how games went, and I do think Najee Harris is due to be more consistently productive. And the Steelers don't. They're not going to be the team to go away from the run, when they're in the red zone. So don't love it. I hate the Steelers, but I would be happy having Josh Jacobs and Najee Harris as my RB1, RB2, set it and forget it for the whole year.
And that's fine. Like, obviously, like, me saying that I'm not a big Najee guy really stems from last year when he was a borderline first-round pick.
You hate him. You hate Najee.
In the 3rd round, he's fine. He's a fine pick.
Yeah, I mean, I I totally agree with your analysis, Kyle. I do think it was just a down year for the Steelers, and not that they're going to be amazing, but I do think he's going to positively regress, and just be a little better, and he'll return value. He should return value there. I like that pick. So that leaves me in a bit of a weird spot because I'm not excited about Devonta Smith being my wide receiver 1. I could go with Debo, and I like him, but there's just so many people that are going to catch the ball in San Francisco. So I sure as hell don't want to go with Calvin Ridley. If you've listened to this podcast, you know I'm not the biggest fan of drafting him that early.
But his feet are so fast, bro. His feet look so fast.
Sure, everyone's the best player ever in camp, you know.
Dude, if they were doing a hard knocks on the Jaguars, Calvin Ridley would be drafted in the 2nd round. I'm telling you right now. That's how the hype is real.
Yeah, it's insane with Calvin Ridley right now.
He's already getting plenty of hype even without that.
So I will say I'm actually tempted to take a QB here. Reason being, the bots have 2 picks before I come around, and they like to fill their slots like that. And Jeremy may go with somebody too. So with 2 picks, but I'm going to go ahead and take Debo because I kind of feel handcuffed in doing that.
I knew you were going to do that the whole time. You were just posturing.
I'm not posturing. I'm just saying I'm not excited about picking him as my wide receiver 1, but I'm going to do it because I still want some high upside at wide receiver.
Hey, can we talk about Jahmyr Gibbs a little bit? What do y'all think about Jahmyr Gibbs?
I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be a good pass catcher out of the backfield, and he's going to be pretty damn good in PPR formats.
Okay.
I mean, he profiles pretty well to Jamal Charles, as we know, who is like an efficiency beast, multifaceted type player who can catch really well at the backfield. So I think that is like the ultimate upside comp for his athletic profile, respectively. He obviously has a very high draft capital. Detroit moved mountains essentially to get him in there. They were in a perfect position. They could have drafted Bijan. Instead, they moved back just to move forward to draft this guy. So I think that's like the lottery ticket mentality that a lot of players have going into this season. But that ends like his receiver chops were very good. But all that, Gibbs aside, the league done fucked up because the guy I'm about to draft right here, he's a dog. That's Mr. K9 himself, who's getting super slept on. He's had some soft tissue injuries, etc. But what did we talk about earlier? We're talking about home run hitters. And this guy, if he just improves some of his vision issues that he showed during his rookie year, where he's banged up, coming off of a hernia surgery and learning new playbook and adjusting to the speed of the league, still remained dangerous as hell. So yes, could he improve in some of his goal line efficiencies, etc.? Of course he could. But hey, that's his 2nd year in the league. You'd like to think that you'd show up better for your 2nd year of service and whatever job you're working, right? So let's see what the dude's got. I think at the back end of the 3rd round, that's a player who can have some pretty high-end upside at the position and potentially be a top 5 finisher. So
you're not scared of Charbonnet at all being drafted in the 2nd round?
Charbonnet, again, high draft capital. So like you have to respect it. But again, everyone has that learning curve. And I understand that running back is a position that, they tend to hit the ground running, if you will. But with Zach, he's got a hell of a talent in front of him on the depth chart right now. And I generally like to think talent wins out. So, hey, if Charbonnet can be that guy to get, a spark run here and there, or take some damage, to the line and, keep the chains moving just to bring K9 in to hit one up the park, then so be it. But I think even with this hot hand mentality that Pete Carroll often has, you want the guy who could take it to the house on a 70-yard run up the middle, and that's Kevin Walker or Kenneth Walker.
Got you.
K9.
Jeremy, I
Oh,
love
sorry.
real quick
that pick.
before you make your second pick there, I just
Yeah.
want to mention Team 11 is Eagles homer. They did end up with and AJ Brown.
Damn, they messed up on the super stack. They could have had hurt.
Team 6 is going to hate playing them, though.
Yes,
Yeah.
not a fun matchup for them. Dallas Goedert 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
Or just all rushing touchdowns for
that's
Galen.
what he's hoping for.
Sorry to cut you off, Jeremy. I just wanted to make mention.
No, that was hilarious. I didn't even notice that. I should
Jeremy-
probably.
Ken Walker is a great pick. You were spitting facts. You were speaking for me. I felt like my Kenneth Walker enthusiasm
channeled.
was being channeled through you. So clearly, he would not have made it past me. I'm a little annoyed, but I'm very appreciative that
He made
you.
it past me in the third, but he would not have made it past me.
Yeah, fair.
There. Sick reference, bro, to when you totally botched that
Well,
earlier.
retardation, yeah.
So on this turn.
You know, honestly, this is a pretty tough pick. I'm not going to be picking for a while, especially because you cats are pretty long-winded. Not as long as me, but I'm in a tough spot here because there's a ton of talent on the board, and there's going to be like multiple tier breaks at like every position essentially. So I am, this is still a premier pick. You're not going to lose with your 4th round pick, but it could win it for you. I got a few different options here. I'm not on the Calvin Ridley train. And Joe Mixon is just staring me right in the face for that extra Viagra pill at the position. Keenan Allen is on a per game basis, like as good of a wide receiver 2 as you can get, but his fragility often scares me. And like as much as I'm tempted to not be balanced or play some sort of like ADP game. I know I was talking some crap in our group chat yesterday. I'm going to take a guy who is still young, is in a new system with a new team with a young talented quarterback, and is already showing that they're going to make a concerted effort to get him the ball. So yeah, in preseason you're going to see some really simple looks and simple plays, shallow depth of target type attempts. But like if you get a ball in DJ Moore's hands, he can make some special plays with it. And I already have Steph Diggs to give me a really solid floor. So why not do a little bit of ceiling chasing with my wide receiver 2?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think that we find ourselves often in those types of situations in fantasy drafts. It never goes perfectly how you want it to go in your draft. And you sometimes find yourself in a situation where you feel like you have to reach, but it's because you have to get the guy you actually believe in and not just be a slave to the ADP game and be like, oh, well, let me just take best available and see who comes back to me, because that's letting the draft do the driving and not trying to actually draft the players that you believe in. So
right.
It was a little bit of a reach. I appreciated that you did it.
Ryan Poles had a big swing and a miss when it came to his acquisition of Chase Claypool. But it was a stroke. I'm not going to call it genius, but a stroke of brilliance when he brings DJ Moore in, because we've seen multiple times like what having a really good talent. Now, is DJ Moore as talented as everyone has been wish casting him to be these past few years, where he continues to have these like middling like top 15 finishes? This is the time to find out. Like the time for finger pointing is over. Like, are you elite or are you not? And this could be the season. So
I think
here's what I'll add to wrap that up. Just to wrap up the DJ Moore debate right here. You got Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold throwing at the guy last year, where now you got a Justin Fields who, last year had a very explosive season, and it's going to be getting the ball out there. And I think DJ Moore is going to be able to take advantage of that. So
I think that the question is, does Fields improve his passing? And a guy like DJ Moore helps that. He showed yesterday in preseason he can take a screen to the house. And I think even there, from a fantasy perspective, you're getting a guy who would maybe he's never going to fall in that wide receiver 1 range, but it's almost like impossible for him to fall out of the wide receiver 2 range. So you've got a really solid wide receiver 2 locked in over there. And then we got Joe Burrow go. So we've got a team that's committing to 0 RB right now. Not going to have a pick for a while.
Right after that, Team 10 going super high T with the other go from the same team and mixing.
Right. Yeah. So then this might be you guys have drafted with me for a while. This might be slightly off brand for me, but I just want a guy who I think can give me a positional advantage. And I truly believe with what's going on around him in Baltimore, spoiler, that Lamar Jackson does have an opportunity to end up the QB1, but the QB3 I think is very, very achievable. It's really a question is, does he mesh with Odell? Does he mesh with his rookie receiver? Does Rashad Bateman stay healthy? And obviously Mark Andrews has to stay healthy as well. And the man himself, Lamar Jackson. If he, his rushing would have been right on par with Justin Fields if he wasn't missing games last year. And we all know that is the, as Paul likes to say, the Konami code in fantasy football. So I'm going to go ahead and take my quarterback there, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, it's a good pick. I mean, this is where you're going to take you got to take a quarterback here if you want one of the upside guys. And
exactly,
I'm gonna do the same. I mean, I feel like we just talked about the Chicago Bears.
Go Bears.
I want to talk about DJ Moore again for another 4 minutes, if that's okay. I'm just kidding. I won't. But in all seriousness,
another 4 minutes.
Justin Fields has the opportunity. He could finish the end of the year as a top 3 quarterback in fantasy. And
definitely.
I think the upside that he brings is very appealing. I think DJ Moore coming there is a game changer. They wanted him. They went out and got DJ Moore, right? So they're going to feed him the ball, and they're building that offense. Like, they gave Justin Fields a vote of confidence, and they're going to ride him out through the thick and thin. I don't know if the Bears are going to have a good record, but I'm pretty sure Justin Fields is going to put up some monster games.
So you're taking Claypool?
Hey man, I don't want to give my cards away right now, but we'll get to Claypool in maybe round 11. Let's see.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you all heard my exclaim there, but I did not expect back-to-back quarterbacks from Andrew and Kyle. Which, that does throw me a little bit for a loop, because that I was planning on solidifying that position with the last guy that I believe can be, potentially the 101, at their position, right? Not in fantasy overall.
Quarterback, it would be all of fantasy. Then he'd be the top scorer.
Right, exactly. So, when the guys that have the true rushing ability and the passing ability and the potential around them to do that are gone, I'm now in punt territory. I'm punting the position at this point. Obviously, this is no slander on Justin Herbert or any of those other guys in terms of players. I just think when we talk upside now, I have to look at other positions. But I am fairly happy to take this player that I'm going to go ahead and click on now, Aaron Jones. I think that the 4th round, middle of the 4th round, coming back, yes, the Packers offense has a potential to be a full dump fire. I refer you to one of our previous episodes that me and Andrew just did to talk, through all the Packers, but we decided there was sneaky value to be had among those guys. Aaron Jones is that guy for me. In the 4th round, I think he's going to be a pretty up and down RB2, which is fine. That's fine for me. I drafted a guy that I expect to be my bell cow at that position. I have 2 receivers that I think have a chance to be wide receiver 1s. And now I have a guy that's a solid RB2 and maybe has a chance to give me some RB1 weeks. So I'm fairly happy with that pick. Roast me.
No, I think you're right. And you're going to get some spike weeks from Aaron Jones. He's too talented. So when that pops off, you very much increase your chance of winning that week.
It would have been Fields there had Kyle not taken him, for context.
I heard the grunts, and it made me feel good when I made the pick. So
Yeah. He turned that sandwich around on you, bro. Now we're just running the train.
I thought you sat on your thumb by accident. I was confused.
It wasn't an accident.
Yeah, Jeremy, that would be a much more pleasurable sound.
Yeah.
All right, so who we got after?
Read off the.
Okay,
read off
so
the names.
now we've got another team that's pretty much committing to zero RB, taking Calvin Ridley. Guy has upside. I don't trust the player hasn't played in 2 years. Keenan Allen, as safe as they come.
Take your medicine.
Yep. Full
Does
rainbow
anybody
draft.
think he's a safe bet?
I think so. He got a full rainbow draft going on with the tight end, QB, running back, and wide receiver, team 5. And then another team in team 4, 0 RB so far, which brings us up to Juan, who's looking at Eckler, Hall, and Higgins going into his next pick. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention DeAndre Hopkins was that pick right before.
You guys got any hot D-Hop takes?
No, I think he's gonna be good and not great. That's it. That's not very hot, but
Fair. I mean, he's an older gentleman. Like he's a statesman of his position at this point. He had the suspension last year. I've been paying attention to him naturally because like I'm here in Arizona and he was on the Cardinals, had some incredible moments, had immediate rapport with Kyler. He was a target vacuum, pretty much nuked what they have in Treylon Burks, unfortunately, for people who are, hoping to get maximal value out of Treylon. But I root for D-Hop. I think he's a great addition to that team because, hey, man, if you're going to battering ram Henry for the first 2 downs, who's someone you can trust to convert on 3rd down? That gentleman. So I agree with you. Good, not great. I don't think he's going to have like this 14 touchdown upside that he's shown at certain points of his career. But he's just going to be solid.
I'd call him like a plus possession guy. Like an upgraded Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
So he's really under the radar right now. Like, I think it's interesting. I think the Tennessee's a good fit for him.
So Juan got impatient with our speaking, and he went ahead and grabbed Amari Cooper. Juan, give us the analysis there.
Why I went for him. Okay, so it's the first time we're gonna see Deshaun Watson in a full season in a long time. I think Amari Cooper has probably the best post routes that I've seen in wide receivers. I mean, the way that he cuts and just watch Hard Knocks, how he was essentially, I don't know if you all got to see the Cowboys, the Hard Knock when he was talking to CeeDee Lamb on how to run routes, how to turn your head, how to cut. The guy has quick feet. And Deshaun's going to feed him. And if he doesn't, I'll be disappointed. And I think this is good.
Let's have Kyle have his say on this one, being the resident Browns fan.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Amari's solid. He is, he comes in, does his business. He's a great route runner. He gets separation. It doesn't matter who his quarterback is. He's gonna get open. He's gonna get the ball. He's gonna get red zone targets. He's not flashy. He's not waving at people as he runs into the end zone like Tyreek Hill. But yeah, I love him, and I think getting him in the 4th round, where you got him, Juan, is a really good value.
For sure.
So Watson, you're thinking can trust this seasoned receiver to be his primary target, but do you think that Cooper can trust Watson around an uncovered drink?
That was a long one to get to that pun, but I liked it.
Yeah, I don't think
I think of your meme all the time. Sorry, no, we can move on. We don't have to linger on that. I was just being silly.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't think Amari Cooper drinks, so he might be okay. He seems like a water with like lemon guy. So
I see that. Yeah.
No one is safe.
So after that, we got Herbert coming off the board. Christian Watson.
So here's what I'll tell you with my next pick. They clearly made some investments here on this running back. They got rid of good running back that was getting a lot of injuries, was going up and down, but they put all their money on this guy, and I think he's going to come back for the Vikings and make some solid strides on the ground this year. Might be stretching, but I think my boy Madison's going to this year.
It's a good.
Cool.
You're not going to get any arguments from me on that pick.
Yeah,
Madison-
Paul's always that dude who would like hoard Madison late, just be like, "No, I need to hold on to him for
This is
his
his
2 games he'll
season.
start
He
this
would
year."
win this year. Dalvin
gonna
Cook's
start-
going down.
Yeah,
Now he's
start.
down.
He's gonna start 1 game in week 5 and another one in week 13.
Well, hey, let's call it what it is, right? Dalvin Cook was going first round picks for the last how many years, and
Yeah,
now
he was up there every year for a while.
and every
Yeah.
time Madison came in after an injury, he was explosive. I mean, struggled to
Replacement
differentiate
level.
both of them. I'm
Replacement
sorry.
level running back.
Listen,
He has opportunity,
They're
I'll say
investing
that.
on the guy. They're investing on the guy. They got rid of Dalvin.
Yeah,
They're
dude.
investing around him.
On the
think
league
he's-
minimum salary, they're really invested.
Well, he's gonna have to show himself up. So-
That's as much of an investment as anybody gets at the running back spot. Come on.
All right,
He is
all
a
right, fam.
he is a
I got
big
you.
he is
Fifth
a
round
big
pick.
make or break kind of pick at this spot. If he hits, your team is sexy. If he busts, you're like, shit. I just have kind of a wasted pick in the 5th round. It's
I look forward to Paul drafting that handcuff in
Oh,
round
God.
12.
Oh God, Paul's gonna draft him on the 5th, so he can have him on the 4th next year. Watch.
I do like Alex Madison. For our listeners that have not known Jeremy as long as I have, Jeremy has a long history of not liking any players that don't have great athletic scores. Apparently, being a run and jump athlete is the only thing that matters for professional football.
Yeah, dude, that's why I'm taking Anthony Richardson my next pick.
hey man, Cole Beasley looks pretty good out there in preseason.
Look,
Hey.
and
He
hey,
call with it. He call with it. All right, who you taking, Chief?
I'm just saying, athletes are athletes. Kyle Pitts is still trying to figure it out in the NFL. We might be talking about him soon.
Never heard of her.
Who's that guy? Yeah.
Hey, shit, my laptop's about to die, boys. BRB.
Oh
Oh, he couldn't even
no,
say
I want to hear more about Tony Pollard.
Who you got, Paul?
it.
So
Hey, I heard that bunch.
let's just say real quick. Sanders went. So that,
Yeah.
that team finally got a running back. McLaurin in the 5th. I like that value. And Kittle in the 5th. That team still has no running back. So and there you go. That leaves up.
Don't
to-
need him. Don't need him.
Oh, no, pointless.
Yeah. So at this pick in the draft, we are now out the window on ADP, where we need to really be worried about where these folks are being taken. And the way that my team is, and I am playing the ADP game a little bit, hoping that a certain player comes back to me. But I'm going to go ahead and take Chris Godwin. I think that in the range that he's being taken, he's still a solid value. He was a good player when Jameis Winston was throwing him the ball. He was a really good player when Tom Brady was throwing him the ball. And I think he's still going to be a solid player when Baker Mayfield is throwing him the ball. The kind of routes and the kind of responsibility he has in the offense doesn't really change with the quarterback. And I just like at this juncture for a wide receiver 3 type of individual, I like the way that he profiles in terms of consistency. So that's why I chose God.
Cool. Agreed.
So you're going to
Chris
be a
Godwin
Baker
is
bro
good at
now,
football.
huh? You're going to be a Baker bro. I can't wait for this.
I have zero confidence in Baker.
Damn. Bitter Browns fan.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Clearly, you
better
have
not listen to the
my
podcast.
NFC South pod. Yeah, I am not on the Baker cycle. I skipped ahead to the part where I'm just depressed.
I still like Baker. I have I don't want to give up on him. There's just certain guys you never want to give up on, and he's one of them for me. I want to see him do well.
He looked good in the preseason game. So, he'll reel you in a little bit, and then he'll crush your soul. That's what he does. So,
Pretty
just
much.
warning you. I like athletes. I still believe in this guy. I think there's no way this guy doesn't at least put one productive season together in the NFL. Like, I just refuse to believe it. So, we'll take Kyle Pitts here, take the upside, and then you know what? If he sucks again, then shame on me. But I would normally take a defense here, by the way, but we don't have that in option. So Kyle Pitts will have to do. So
Yeah. So no defensive kickers in this league. Well, I'm glad you did it, so I don't have to be tempted by.
I mean, we know what
that
position
jerk
you're
face.
looking at. I can see your screen right now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to bury the lead here. Whatever, if you want to say that. I'm going to go ahead and take my man Darren Waller and have my giant stack, I guess you could say. And
I think that's a good pick. I was hoping he would come around to me.
why now would I take him? Well, he is the number one target for everything I said about Saquon kind of applies to Waller. I just think the offense is going to be better. He's proven in training camp. He still got it. He stays healthy. He has a chance to be a top 3 tight end, in my opinion. So call me a homer if you will, but I think that's a real possibility. When he was healthy a few years ago, he was like the one that was the guy who was behind Kelsey. So I'm still going to bet on that. And I think they're going to have to run. They're going to run a lot of their offense through the guy. And he's a red zone target as well, being like 6'5" or 6'6", whatever he is. So that's my pick. And
he might be the best receiver on that team. He might be the best receiver on the team.
I think he is.
I think he is. And I also want to say, just from a drafting standpoint, none of these teams that are going to have 2 picks ahead of me have a tight end. So I kind of wanted to jump ahead and make sure I got the guy I wanted.
No, I was scoping Darren. I think he's an excellent value. He's got a great skill set. He's a rare athlete. So like you see Kyle Pitts, like all the things that all his athletic measurables, etc. Darren Waller is in that tier of athlete, in my opinion. Obviously, he didn't come out as a unicorn tight end. He was actually an undrafted type, like just blown up receiver dude. And then once he made the transition and stopped, abusing himself with alcohol, etc., he turned the corner and I think he's a special player. I think he can be a really good player for the Giants, and I certainly would anticipate him, if not leading the team in targets, at least lead the team in red zone looks, which obviously in a tight ends league, you're kind of shooting for touchdowns. And while I don't think the Giants are going to take such a leap forward to where all of a sudden they're going to be like a top 10 offense in the league, I don't think you need to be when you have a consolidated target share and the tight end is the first read. So, so now that I got sniped, I have a couple tight end options. I might punt the position. You have really good talent still on the board here. Where I wasn't as excited about the Kyle Pitts pick, I feel the same about Drake London. Excellent athlete. He has the measurables to be a target vacuum. If his craft has improved, he could be an excellent player in that system, but I don't believe enough in the quarterback play. I find it to be a fantasy, no pun intended, that him, Bijan, and Pitts are all going to like fire based off of like Ritter, a third round draft pick in his sophomore season in a run first offense. So don't want to get too attached to that, but instead where I will go, because there is quite a large tier break and I want to be connected to explosive offenses. I'm heavily considering Trevor Lawrence here. I think he is a, obviously prodigious talent, won national championships, Clemson, and, would be an excellent play here. And I know we have a long time to go till my next pick. So while I am super tempted to stack him with like Evan Ingram, who's available, I just at this point don't feel that the value is in alignment after that last tier break. So what I will do is I will go with Trevor Lawrence, and what I will do is a bit of a reach is stack him with Christian Kirk, who I think will still lead this team in targets.
Spicy.
Fair.
I
So
like that, Jeremy.
we've got we had Jerry Judy.
You got to be watching Jacksonville this year.
Huh? We had Jerry Jude come off the board, and J.K. Dobbins is now
Flexing that patio.
pretty freaking
Alvin
late.
Kamara, man, what a drop.
Alvin Kamara dropping. Drake London went, and it's back to me. So I like your analysis, Jeremy. I like getting the stack. I think at the 12th spot, when you're waiting forever, any of these end spots, you're waiting so long. You kind of have to reach, so to speak. But you just got to take the guys you like, and you got a nice healthy stack there. And yeah, I think right now the fantasy community is thinking that the entire offense is going to basically be Calvin Ridley, and they just have not completely forgotten about Kirk, but just don't care. And he was pretty damn good last year, and he's got a connection with Lawrence. So good picks. So let's see where I'm looking at here. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just look at my roster. You see this glaring hole here in wide receiver.
Sigh.
Now, the next guy being Brandon Ayuk, I am not going to take. But who I am going to take is a dangerous mofo who gets hurt all the time. But man, when he can hit pretty big, and that's Mike Williams.
Sure.
Hey, that's a good pick, man. I got a lot of PTSD from his injuries, but
We all do.
you're right. Anytime the guy stays healthy, he's a big weapon for that offense. So
I'm hoping that Kellen Moore can evolve that offense to be efficient, and they stay healthy, and they can just score a lot of points. And I hope that Mike Williams becomes a big part of that. So that's about the extent of my analysis.
Yeah, you'll get 10 good weeks out of Mike Williams, and you just got to hope that he was in your lineup when he gets one of those good weeks. So
This isn't best ball?
yeah, let's do it. Right. So I'm going to take this guy right here. The fact that he's still here is
crazy, Kyle. Crazy.
It's sad. The guy is good. I mean, I think he's playing, right? So he's going to be the starting running back in Denver, and I think he's going to get a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns. And, this is a guy that if he was healthy, he'd be going in the first 2 or 3 rounds. So
Kyle, he was a first-round pick last year. He had an ACL, right? Second or third week of the year?
He had one. I don't know if he still has one, but he had an ACL, and I think it's better now. And he's gonna, if he can stay healthy, he's gonna score some points in Denver. Sean Payton's gonna get that offense right. I don't know if Russell Wilson will be great, but I'm pretty sure Javonte Williams will have a solid year if he can stay healthy. So
he's another make or break kind of play, and I think similar to Brees, it's the question of how good are they going to look off the ACL tear. That's what we're looking at with these guys, and you just hope that they can get back to their elite form sooner rather than later.
Man, we got to say, I feel like nowadays, especially the league, man, the exposure they have to all the rehab and the treatment. And I mean, I think of Barkley, right? Like how he bounced back and how he came in so strong after an ACL. And we can probably talk about like 5 different athletes that have gone through it and I've been able to bounce back pretty strong. And, not to say and knock on wood for all my Denver fans that he's going to come in and be extremely explosive, but, man, we sure have come a long way to showcase that these athletes, as long as they follow the rehab, they follow the treatments and everything that they got in front of them, they're freaks at the end of the day. So I'm hopeful on that. I don't think it's a bad pick, especially in the round that you got it on, Kyle. I think the guy has the upside to ball the fuck out. So
I disagree. I don't think it's a good value. I think it's a multi-ligament injury. And I get that Brees Hall also tore his knee, and you could say maybe all the same things. That being said, I think Samaje Perine is a better backup than is available to the Jets. I think he's someone who we saw how serviceable he was to the upside when Joe Mixon missed games last year. and I think he will have a role on that team. Not to say that Javonte Williams isn't a special athlete and can't have a good impact and return value on his relative ADP, but I don't know. In the 6th round, he's a starter. Like maybe you rotate him into your bench for a little while and see how things play out. So there's obviously still upside there, but I think there was better picks on the board there.
Fair analysis.
Man.
Fair. Both things can be possibilities, outcomes for Javonte for sure.
I actually, both of those are very fair ways to look at it. In the middle of the 6th round, I do not think that it's a bad. I don't think it's a bad gamble. You have most of your positions shored up, so if you believe in the upside, you have to call your shot one way or another. I don't think it's a terrible gamble. I've been commiserating over this pick for long enough. I'm not going to put you guys up here, but I will tell you it was a difficult decision, and I honestly don't really love a ton of the players in this range. But I do feel like I do need another RB before the tier hits. If this was a real draft that we were sticking with, I would actually take Dalvin Cook here because I think he is going to jump onto a team and be, at least the first running back out of the gate for somebody. But that hasn't happened yet. So for the purposes of the mock, I'm actually going to go with James Conner. I like Cam Akers' upside better. James Conner has no upside. We know exactly who James Conner is. But he also doesn't have a ton of perceived downside for me. He is an RB3 that is going to catch passes on a bad team that's going to be down a lot. He's been pretty durable after his first couple of years when he had injury woes. So, yes, I'll take an old running back in an area where I pretty much hated every other option.
I like his value here in the 6th round more than I like the Javonte pick,
It's
but I
fine.
probably would have went Cam Akers there just because
James
he's
Conner's
got good
28.
upside.
James Conner's 28. He's not
He's not as dusty he's been made to be. I've ragged on the dude in the past. I think he's a solid pick.
If you asked him in the middle of the season when we had that whole trade debacle going on, James Conner was geriatric. Give him some Jello, speed it through a spoon.
I mean, he's a plotter that he's basically like, to me, a carbon copy of
Chris Carson?
Leonard Fournette. Like just
a
plotter that has
too.
okay hands. That's how I see him.
All right,
He'll
so
be
we
used. He'll be used.
Dalvin Cam and Dallas Goedert go on teams.
Yeah.
Goddard filling out that.
Took Goddard right out of my. I was gonna go Goddard and Connor. Now I'm on a little bit of a reset here. Okay.
Am I the only person who thinks Dalvin Cook might just re-sign with the Vikings?
Dude, I think it'd be the smartest thing to do, and it would be hilarious for the people that are drafting Alex.
Yeah, like $6 million, $6 million, like cut his salary in half, and then just say hey man, let's go try to make something in the NFC this season.
I think he'd be better off waiting till week 3, week 4, because there's going to be a running back that goes down on a contender, and a GM's going to be on tilt.
Why are you speaking that evil into the ether, Kyle?
Everybody in this call is knocking on wood right now.
Yeah.
Just get Dalvin as a handcuff to Saquon. Just do it now.
I'm scared.
Jesus. Don't be wishing that evil on me,
I'm going to go for a energetic, aggressive weapon here. I think James Cook. It's going to be the legs of that team.
Is he energetic? That's a personality trait.
He's dynamic.
I'm gonna go for the explosive weapon. Now listen, here's
Juan thought he was at an interview.
Getting a little bit lost here. It's crazy that Deontay Johnson's still there. George Pickens is still here.
Yeah. There's Tony.
It's insane. Homeboy. Pittman, man, I was gonna go for him, Paul, but I got some heartburn from him last year, and I really don't know what the offense is going to look
I don't
like.
blame
with this
you,
new
bro.
running
I
back, so
wouldn't have gone for his ass. What you mean?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm going to go with homeboy George Pickens.
George Pickens was your better pick of the two, in my opinion. I like Pick a lot this year.
Yeah. And I think
I haven't watched anything about him or had him on my team before. All I know, Deontay Johnson didn't have a touchdown last year. Crazy.
if they're
But
not
won't
lying
he
in
regress
Buffalo,
positively?
if they're not lying in Buffalo and they really do care about capping the goal line rushes of Josh Allen, then James Cook, as it stands right now, has a chance to be a great value there.
Yeah.
It's just been the touchdowns on that team that don't come through the running back position. So if you
Agreed.
start to, it's a great pick.
I'll be honest, I almost went Pacheco. Love watching that guy last year. I think what is his shoulder and his hand that is a little questionable right now. He's also the backup running back on that team? Is it CEH?
McKinnon or Edwards Hilaire, but he's kind of a forgotten man. Who knows what happens with him?
Hey, at least
I like him a
Patrick
lot.
got his guy, right?
What is that?
I said at least Patrick got his guy. It's like Patrick Mahomes is like apparently like no, we got to get CEH, and it's like
Right.
You're not a
leave
GM,
the GMing to the GM,
yeah,
buddy.
you're not a GM, buddy.
Collar tug. Okay, so are y'all ready for my pick here?
Please.
Diesel, I
I
think.
guess.
Go for it.
So I'm going to take who I think is the best player available instead of addressing the obvious needs at my onesie positions. I could get burned. It's very possible I get burned. I have two bots and Jeremy in front of me. But I just love this guy so much. Anywhere he's going in this range, I just can't pass him up.
Mike Evans? Who is it?
Hollywood
Marquise Brown.
Hollywood Brown, yeah. Man, that would be
Not bad.
wild if you went with Evans. So you got your Baker boys.
Right.
Well,
Godwin and Evans.
instead of getting the Baker boys, I got the Kyler Cucks. I don't even know.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Did you see that sports bra he was wearing?
Yeah.
Pretty cool. No, dude, that's a great pick,
all
man.
wear that. He was just a weirdo.
It's a
and didn't
steal.
have a shirt under it.
I
A
think that's
guy who
steal.
has run after the catch ability, can catch deep bombs, and his talented quarterback should be back, hopefully sooner rather than later. Yeah, and the Cardinals should be terrible just throwing the ball.
They're going to be throwing the ball a lot.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
a great pick, Paul. That's one of my favorite picks of the draft so far.
I
Agreed.
like the pick. But I don't love the fact that you have two Cardinals on your team. That just seems like a recipe for sadness all year.
Yeah,
No offense, Jeremy.
It was a decision. It was just
I'm not a Cardinals fan.
that was factored.
Well, yeah,
I just live here,
you
bro.
sell houses to people that aren't. So
No.
we want them to
I
be
want-
happy, so they buy houses. So
Hey, you're a
No.
Suns fan, brother.
No, dude.
Don't be twisting it, you know? You've been acting
Hey.
like a Suns fan. So
Just because I get good
Don't-
speech doesn't make me a Suns fan.
go Coyotes, right? Yeah, I'm gonna take here I am. Where are we at? Pick 70. I don't know. We're pick 80 something. And Brandon Ayuk is the guy that he's gonna get targets. He's gonna he's gonna get game. He's gonna have games where 8 catches,
gonna get
9
what?
catches. Get a couple touchdowns. Debo's gonna be double teamed on a regular basis because Debo is that good. And Ayuk is a solid guy to have as a
Yeah,
wide
they're gonna
receiver
double
too.
team him in the backfield.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, the back, the side field. Yeah,
He's gonna get.
they
he's
will.
gonna-
Hey, they will. Why wouldn't they? If he's in the backfield, that guy's probably getting the ball. So that's where Ayuk can really, make a name for himself.
Dude,
He
get
knows
Kadarius,
on
get
that-
Kadarius off the
Amon-ra.
screen now.
Okay. So I am going to go ahead and take a target monster that was unlucky with touchdowns last year in the 7th round, Deontay Johnson.
Boring. Take Big Dirty Mike, bro.
Part of that pick is my roster is a little bit weak on receiver right now. I need to shore up that position.
Yeah, fair. You didn't take Young Joker though. I noticed.
Well, he went right after. You see that? Like, holy crap. Fantastic pick by Team 10. They really needed him as their fourth receiver. And David Montgomery, I love that pick because Detroit's offense should be pretty damn
Kansas
good.
City really needs him as their fourth receiver too.
Kansas City needs them to be on IR so they can add another player.
I got sniped. Not gonna lie, like I was actually lurking Montgomery. I mean,
He's such a
you know, we-
value.
Sniped by a bot.
we give him a lot of grief, call him Montgomery and all that good stuff. No disrespect, man. Just group
Oh,
chat.
he listens. He
bullshit.
listens. He's coming for you.
But nah, man. I mean, you drafted a sort of slight build running back in the first round in Jahmyr Gibbs, and why not? Why not go ahead and get yourself a bruiser, someone who has been more healthy than we realized. I mean, on the draft episode where we talked about the recap, I pointed out that I thought that they would be like a really good dynamic duo. I think there will be actual touchdown regression in that backfield in general, but if it's half of that, he's still looking at like almost double digit touchdown season. So I think that's excellent value in the 7th round. I'm staring at a pretty dusty field at the moment here. I mean, we got some players that are interesting and exciting. You really are. I'm between for one of these picks here, either going Mike Evans or a dynamic young receiver. And there's quite a few of them on the board here. There's a nice little stack of them. We got JSN, first round draft pick to the Seahawks, Jordan Addison, first round draft pick to the Minnesota Vikings, sophomore season, Jahan Dotson, and Treylon Burks, the previously mentioned nuked value of the Tennessee Titans.
They're all clustered right there.
Yeah, so I think just to move the ball forward, I will draft Addison. There's a lot of vacated targets there. They were living with the ghost of what's his name? We're forgetting his name already. Adam Thielen there. And how could I forget? He had like the best puns when he was like hotness. Hooked on a Thielen. Beautiful. But yeah, I think Jordan Addison is a talented player. To me, he's a very in the design of Devontae Smith, if you will. Of course, doesn't have the same pedigree or draft capital, but still a talented player. I think he'll make some big third downs and get some tutties over there in Minnesota. And then again, there's still a lot of value at wide receiver here. I'm not really liking what I'm seeing at running back. I'm not a big believer in the Washington backfield or that team just in general. They may be an effective ground and pound, like play good defense type team. But generally it's going to be a stay away for me. I mean, between the Giants, the Cowboys, and of course the division leading Eagles, there's going to be a lot of good defense played in the division, I think. So I'm just not going to buy into Washington, albeit they've exercised some demons there recently. So good luck to them on that front.
They exercised one demon precisely.
Yeah, perhaps. But hey, man, you know how it is. Like a lot can change with a shift, big shift in leadership. So it all starts from top down. I think what I'm going to end up doing here, because like, hey, we're getting to the bench spots, and I think I'm just going to keep hammering upside. Mike Evans is going to be a very solid player, but I feel quite comfortable with my main wide receiver core of Stephon Diggs, DJ Moore, and Christian Kirk. And I'm not going to go I'm not going to invest in the arm of Baker Mayfield, respectfully. So I'm going to go with JSN here. And talented guy, didn't have the same type of athletic measurables we may have once believed when he was having his amazing breakout season in college. Just looking like the best receiver on the field in a very talented team, wide receiver room. But JSN, I think there's room for him to eat in that offense. I think Geno Smith was an incredibly efficient quarterback last year. And I think, now with some confidence and so many different weapons that can hurt you, to have a young, talented, intuitive rookie in the middle of the field there could have some nice upside.
For sure, man. I think JSN is going to get plenty of targets over there. And then the sophomores went in, the kind of questionable sophomores went in Burks and Dodson, having ones across from them on somewhat inefficient offenses, at least passing offenses, especially with the unknown of Howell or Brissett is the backup there now, right? Please. He's on a different team every year.
Yeah. Hey, Dotson's touchdown was nice the other day.
He's a talented player. I mean, I think we talked about it with Chris on that episode, Paul, how Dotson was drafted like the 5th receiver that year, but he was still drafted at a higher position than all the rookies this year. Like, he's very talented.
Yeah, he gets forgotten because his receiver class was like epic.
Yeah, it was kind of OP over there. I believe my team really needs to kind of be piecemealing wide receiver together a bit. I like my receivers, but I don't love them. So Jeremy talked about it with roster construction. He's looking for upside. I'm looking for guys I can start on a week. I think Mike Evans has done it every year, 1,000 yards. And I am not a non-believer in Baker. I just think that if he can just be average, he can hold Mike Evans' fantasy production up. So
thank you.
I'll go with him.
I agree, dude. I agree. And bro, you're getting him so late. I mean, I think like you say, Baker throws the ball like decently. All right. Which we hope he does, right? As I'm looking at Paul, a big Bucks fan in here, like he's gonna get receptions. He's a beast. He was a pro, Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer. He's gonna eat. Where you got him is great value. So
thank you, sir.
I think he's
the
first wide receiver too in Hall of Fame history. Crazy. That's an inside joke for people on the internet, so don't worry about it.
How's Odell been doing the last few years?
He has purple hair now. He's doing great.
Yeah, dude. He's
any chick that dyes their hair purple, they're going through it.
All he's got to do is get a nose. I think he actually has a nose ring, doesn't he?
Well,
I don't know.
So who are you looking at?
Sure, he has piercings. He can't.
I do.
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating. I do have a question. Who do we think is going to have the more productive fantasy season? JSN or Mike Evans?
Mike Evans should score more.
Yeah, I mean, so considering that
Geno Smith is still the quarterback.
Yeah, he is. He's good. He's
had a great season last season.
Yep.
So
it's a good debate, and that's a good question you pose.
Big Mike.
Mike he's always had 1,000 yards. It's just not going to look sexy. It's going to be ugly, but I think that he can put together a good enough season to be a wide receiver 4 on a fantasy roster.
You still got DK and Tyler Lockett there, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's why I'll put Evans there.
I think it's funny that JSN went before Mike Evans because I agree. Mike Evans should blow away JSN at least this year, but we'll see. I think Baker's going to throw the ball up, and if you want to make another year in the NFL, if you're Baker Mayfield, you got to get Big Mike a ton of targets. But at my pick here, I'm going to take a guy that I think has been forgotten because he kind of lived in a really miserable situation in Houston for the last, 2-3 years. But I think Brandon Cooks is, he's going to add an element to that Cowboys offense where, he's going to take some pressure off CD, but he's going to eat too. I think Dallas messed up getting rid of Amari. And I think Brandon Cooks can come in and kind of be that number 2 guy.
Robin to the Batman of CD.
Yeah, because they don't have a slant receiver, right, Kyle? I mean, you got CD who can run.
You got CD. You got
Michael.
You got Michael Gallup there, but I don't know if Michael.
He's a deep runner, right? He's not. Yeah. He's not an explosive wide receiver like Cooks, in my opinion, right?
The fact
I think you're
Brandon
right.
Cooks is a
was
field stretcher.
productive. Yeah, he's a field stretcher. He has great hands, good route runner. He's gonna be in a good spot with Dak compared to what he had in Houston.
I think so.
I agree.
So who you looking at, Chief?
He's laughing over there like,
Well,
I'm going to throw
I-
everyone on a curve here.
I was just laughing because you said slant receiver. I'm assuming what you meant was slot receiver, but
Slot receiver, I'm sorry. That's exactly what I
He's-
meant.
Yeah.
Slot receiver.
He runs slants in the slots.
Listen, your job is
slants in the slot. Run in the slot.
So I want to mention too. We do have a bit of but like Montgomery was the only one in there, but we have a pretty big wide receiver run going right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of blue.
Well,
Yeah.
spoiler alert.
That's crazy.
What a blue.
I still feel like there's a lot of talent on the board.
Oh
which
yeah.
is-
Well, this draft is going. I'm stopping the wide receiver run. I'm taking Evan Ingram. Now, why did I take Evan Ingram? Understanding several things about him. He
Drop
has
the ball.
basically been a very disappointing player for the majority of his career until he met Trevor Lawrence. And
He had 4 good games.
That guy has made the Pro Bowl before.
right? It was a stretch.
He's had a 10 touchdown season before. No? Didn't he have 1 10 touchdown season with the Giants, or was it 8 touchdown season
I think he
like in
had
his rookie season?
He may have had one good year, but
He
like
ain't a Giant anymore. I don't care.
for the fantasy darling that he was supposed to be, I think he disappointed in that. But it's a late round pick. To me, it's the very last tight end at all in this draft that I can draft and maybe see a potential path to a top 5. Everybody else, I literally don't care. They're just going to be the guys that, are going to get some somewhat decent volume. The Pat Fryermuth of the world are going to be fine, but I just don't see anybody truly with breakout potential. So I'm going to go ahead and just shore up that position and probably still stream a few guys here and there. But that was really the reason because for me, it was about time to secure somebody in that role.
He's got spike week potential that
Yeah.
isn't required for him to have a multi-touchdown week. I mean, he is one of the rare tight ends that can take it to the house, like with 4.4 speed on like with all this attention and weapons, like in Jacksonville, like, who knows? But again, like I'm not in love with him as a prospect in fantasy. But yeah, I think it's a great pick, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Here's how.
you're fine.
Yeah, I agree. That's it. I agree. Here's what I was looking at him, Paul. I was looking at Ingram, and then I got another one. I'm actually not gonna throw his name yet. I'm gonna hold back because you're gonna get a laugh out of him. I think I got a round or 2 that I can save. But this next pick is gonna be, if shit doesn't work out for Madison, this is the way that I will be thinking if this is a real draft. If this does not work out with Madison where I drafted him, I think I got a pretty solid gamble to throw it here with my boy that had Antonio Gibson behind him last year. Came back from obviously some unfortunate circumstances that prevented him from playing, aka getting shot. And now, coming in his second year, pretty explosive dude. Where I'm getting him, I think I'm getting good value. If things doesn't work out with Madison, I feel like I'm going to be tossing up a coin to see who's going to start that week. So for this one, man, I really want to go for this guy. But I don't know if I'm going to do it.
Give us
Riveting.
It's killing me.
Riveting analysis.
We want Dwayne Allen.
No. Where the fuck did he go? Did he get drafted?
And I will take Tony Pollard.
Did Deshaun Watson get drafted?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
3 rounds ago.
These two, yeah.
Fuck,
Team
man,
one.
I really wanted him this year.
Enjoy too.
Oh, you did.
Still some quarterbacks sitting there at the top of the
If this is a real
list
draft,
there.
you would have
No,
auto picked.
tell us more about Brian Robinson.
No. I'm gonna stop talking about that one.
Cloud of dust.
Okay, all right. Here's who I was talking about earlier. I'm gonna go with him. Bit of a stretch, but the guy had 7 touchdowns in the last 10 games.
Woo!
Coming in the second year, Cole Kmet
Woo!
It's going to be my
Nice.
tight end this year.
Sweet.
Woo! He did just
Dropping
get
the
paid.
stat.
Woo!
And look, the run begins of tight ends.
Does he run slants though in the slot?
Slants in the
I think
slots.
he can't.
I
What's
mean,
up,
now that he
buddy?
got paid, he might run trains.
He runs
Ayo.
So,
You don't need that much money for that.
Oh, all right. My man.
He did get paid.
well,
So
the guy
with,
runs
with
trains.
Juan's picks, we had Rashad Penny come off the board. We had Mike Thomas, who's interesting. Zay Flowers. We'll see what happens in Baltimore there. Gabe Davis, I think, is a good value where Team 2 got him. After Cole Kmet, Tua comes off the board. I think he's a solid value. Obviously, he's got those weapons. Freiermuth and Njoku. I love Njoku still this year. I another guy that I've had a bit of a crush on for like his whole career is Njoku, and just
He's
want
a sexy guy,
Yeah.
like for the record.
I just
but-
want to see that breakout happen one of these years. That true breakout. So back to Paul.
All right, boys. I'm not gonna make you hold your breath too long. I'm gonna take one of my favorite Flyer players within this range, Khalil Herbert. I know
Nice, good pick.
Justin Fields does a lot of running, and certainly with where he was drafted and the fanfare coming in, like he's not the traditional type of running back that you think could be an every down number one back. But in this range, I'm taking a starting running back that can fill in for me for injuries and bye weeks. Like I'm cool with it. I'm Gucci.
It's the 9th round. You're not expected to get a stud.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take a pick here to spite Jeremy a little bit, but it's also just good business to back up your higher risk players. So I'm gonna take Mr. Samaji just in case shit hits the fan with Javonte.
This is the first time in fantasy draft history that we've handcuffed the 6th round running back.
It might be.
Well,
It might
you know what though? I'm gonna say
He said he
I'm gonna
wanted
go
to
ahead and
spite
say
me,
that
but he played himself.
I think that's a really smart move by Kyle because Sean Payton has always had great running games. So if you have the Denver running game, you should have a valuable asset in fantasy.
Yeah, the pick equity isn't bad at this point. Like, sure,
No,
whatever.
I mean, it's
you
the
know,
9th round.
our
I
way.
just said it about Khalil Herbert. Like, you're not expected to get a stud or even a lot of times even a starter in the 9th round for the running back position. So
I think
I like
that's
that
what
pick.
it comes down to is that you take the names out of it. Like I got the Denver backfield,
right.
and I don't know about you all, but I don't think Russell Wilson is going to monopolize the offense in the Mile High City, right? So they're going to want to run the ball. They're going to want to get pressure off of Russell. Russell's going to want to dump the ball off to running backs because it gets a little dicey when he starts throwing down the field. So I think Javonte is going to be the guy, but if he's not, you know what? I'll take some Samaji, throw him in the flex.
I think Jeremy disagrees, Kyle. I think Jeremy disagrees with that.
Huh?
He's not a fan of Javonte Williams this year, so.
But he was a fan of
risk.
Samaji, so
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Can we pour one out for a Tim Patrick whose career is likely over?
No,
after
yeah, no.
Another career-ending injury 2 years in a row.
RIP. No, for real. That sucks.
Done.
He's a good player.
Talented, pretty talented guy and a trustworthy guy. So,
Yeah, I'd let him borrow money.
I need to borrow his money.
His name sounds so dependable. Tim Patrick. Like how 2 first names?
Yeah, man.
Never not
Hey,
trust
I
him.
think he's got a
Can't
future
trust
in
that.
selling insurance if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and pick a guy. And that's
Not
it.
a girl.
I'm gonna pick a guy. Pick a guy. I'm gonna pick Mr. Juju Smith-Schuster. Back in the 9th round. Dude, the Patriots got to throw the ball sometimes, and he should be highly targeted out of the slot with a great coaching staff and kind of a bitch quarterback who's not really going to be able to air it out. So I think he's going to get highly targeted. There you go. That's my analysis.
Man, I think everyone's staying away from the Patriots this year. I mean, I get it. I get why you picked that. That's a legit reason. But I was thinking earlier, like, man, nobody, like, it's crazy how the tables have turned, I feel like, with the Patriots and the lack of knowledge of
Tom
what's
Brady
going on.
will do that to you.
I know.
But
Seriously.
So then we got some quarterbacks. I should look at this.
The bots, the
And the
bots.
bot, yeah.
Yeah, bots. So one of them has Anthony Richardson as their starter, and the other one picked Prescott as their backup to Burrow. So that's interesting how the bot logic works out there. Any thoughts on Richardson's debut?
First throw was great.
I
It was a pick. I
think
don't know
he
if anyone
showed
saw that.
exactly what he looked like in Florida with a Colts jersey on.
I didn't see it. Like
Some
what's
tantalizing
actually
throws and one huge knucklehead mistake. That was
He's a work in progress. What the Colts drafted
Yep.
is literally a project. We are going to watch a season of football of a rookie quarterback trying to figure out how to play the position on the highest stage in the most intense pressure possible. And that's what scares me, because I wouldn't want to do that shit with that level of skill. But, if he has the thick skin to be able to handle that,
we can watch it. I'm not gonna watch it.
maybe he'll be a great player by the time next season.
He kind of did it at Florida. I mean, he did the same thing. Like he just went out there. It's not like they won a ton of games at Florida, so he's kind of used to it at this point. The Colts are going to be brutal, but if he ends up panning out, it'll all be worth it.
I mean, his upside is Josh Allen for sure, and his downside is like out of the league within 3 years, 4 years. So maybe that's too early, but
it's a wide
he
set
could
of
definitely
outcomes.
Yeah. Anyways, Jeremy, you are on the clock, sir.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the intrigue of Anthony Richardson, could be worthy of a double-digit round pick just to back end of the roster stash.
As a starter, are you starting him? That's the question.
No,
or are you
but
gonna
like
draft?
you give him time to develop. Maybe he sits the first 3 weeks or something, and then you don't really need him to be like a prolific passer. Just have him make plays, be an athlete, design the offense around him, let him get his feet wet. The Colts are not going to win their division this year. So,
Jeremy, are you speaking from the perspective of a fantasy manager or the Colts themselves?
Both. I mean, like if you're in round 10, right, which is I'm at the turn here, so I would consider Anthony Richardson in this intellectual exercise, if you will. And I think he's someone who maybe when it comes time, like after week 8 or something, like he's got his legs under him, both like literally and figuratively. And they almost tried to change the QB sneak rule because of Jalen Hurts. What do you think a guy like Anthony Richardson with the athletic profile of Cam Newton can do with more seasoning? So I think the upside is very clear. I think he's, of course, going to have moments where he looks like shit, but Josh Allen looked like shit his rookie season, and I think he was like maybe getting somewhere between 15 and 18 points per game. So that means like, sure, you may have to eat that bye week where he gets you 10 points. You're like, damn, but he could also get you maybe 30 with like 3 rushing touchdowns. Like
he's one of my favorite second quarterbacks to take late.
So like in fantasy though, that manager who takes Richardson, if that was their first quarterback they took, essentially they're taking like a Kirk Cousins or something like that to give them some stability early on.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
personally,
21 years old, right?
Personally, if you want a better season long value, someone like Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, I think would be top of that list for me just because the running ability that he was able to show. But backup quarterbacks notwithstanding, that's not really my style. I'm going to grab this young man, Devon Achane.
Yeah, great play.
I mean, he's just there, ADP wise. Like I'm not over here like drooling over the dude, but he's a playmaker. Like he's somebody who's going to be in a dynamic offense. There's going to be a lot of room underneath to work. The guys in front of him have been oft injured. And if this guy picks up this zone running scheme, he could be a hitter, right? I think after that, I'm not in love with much of anything else for quite some time. So I'm just going to keep swinging they hammer. I know there's a lot of uncertainty in this backfield, but I'll just grab Kendre Miller.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to filibuster. It's just like, forget it, man. The dude he's big, he's fast, he's shifty, and you know, obviously Alvin's got a 2-game suspension. He could be back. He could be amazing again. They're going to work this young man into the scheme. Sure, he's a 4th-round draft pick, so it's not like they have like all the skin in the game. And of course, they have Jamal Williams, who just went 2 picks later. But Jamal Williams, we know what he is. He's going to play hard. He's going to be funny. He's going to be a meme. He's going to have like a nice goal line carry where you're like, oh, nice. But like, that's kind of who he is. He's not going to be the dynamic playmaker who's going to scream like, oh my God, late round upside. But however, you know, Kendre Miller, he could be that dude. Who's to say that Alvin Kamara doesn't, you know, not wishing anything on him, but doesn't get hurt or something. So that guy could be the guy that you want out of that backfield. But it's like, F it. It's round 10 and I want some running back depth. Roll the dice, baby.
Feel you on that for sure. Your two kind of flyers running back makes a lot of sense there. I'm looking at a couple players here right in this range. I'll go ahead and circle.
I
Elijah
feel like
Moore,
we're running out of steam here.
Jameson Williams.
We got to go lightning round.
I'm kind of debating Master Bateman because
Master Bateman.
have Rashad Bateman just to complete the stack on Lamar Jackson. I mean, you know, that's just something that's fun to do and can work out on certain weeks. But man, I went ahead and kind of had to take a bit of a deficit at wide receiver. I have 5 of them. So I'm like the Giants. I have a bunch of them, and none of them that I'm excited about.
One of these guys is going to work out.
With that said, I will wait the long wait and hope that this guy blows up when he comes back. Jameson Williams.
Yeah. I would have done it if you didn't. No analysis needed. He could be a potential league winner down the stretch with his talent. If he pops away, we think he might pop.
Yeah,
Marchese like had me like just hanging on every word. I feel like I was listening to William Shatner. With my 10th pick, I will go for
no signs of intelligent life.
the guy who is suspended for half the season.
It was like the Twilight Zone. No.
That's a good gamble. I like, you know, no pun intended for Jameson, but hey, I'm gonna take the real wide receiver one in Baltimore. And for those of you that listen to me on the podcast, I sang his praises, but I think Odell Beckham. I don't know why people don't understand. When you pay a guy as much money as Odell Beckham, he's going to be the wide receiver one, and he's going to get targets. So I get it. He might tear his ACL again. He might be injured, but he's going to be the guy in Baltimore as long as he's healthy. And
Let's see those F's in the chat.
Think so? You think he'll be the guy in Baltimore?
Oh, for sure. How much did they pay him for those? I think
15
they
mil
gave him
a
like
year, 17 mil.
I don't know. I think Mark Andrews has been a guy there. He's going to get a lot of shares from Mark, but
they didn't pay him that much money to run Lance in the slot, right?
Do you think
like
his knee will see some positive regression?
Yeah,
I
You'd
don't know.
hope so for his sake.
I'll take a wide receiver one in the 10th round, and you know I'm kind of light on wide receiver. But I'm feeling good about my dart throws. You know,
True.
One of these guys is going to be a baller. So
no, I'm being facetious. I make my jokes about Odell. I do think that he's as good of an option as any receivers in that receiving room because he's actually proven he's done it before. He was good for the Rams. You know, it's just every year that goes by with football, every injury that goes by, I get a much higher alarm bell going off in my head.
Yeah.
But
By week four, the starting wide receiver for Baltimore is going to be Devin Duvernay, and who's that other guy that Demarcus Robinson or something like that?
Yeah.
Like, there's all their second and third string guys gonna be out there again. Like, fuck, here we go.
They'll
again.
bring Sammy Watkins back. I don't even know where he's at. But
Where's that guy at, man?
Well, here's hoping that Odell doesn't take a Duke on your chest.
Oh.
What I'm gonna do with my pick,
I think in the 10th he can't even do that to his team, but I'd still just I'm fading him for sure.
agreed. I don't love picking a quarterback here, but I'm too afraid of these bots and Juan. And I need to stop the bleeding. I need to put somebody. So I'm just going to throw Aaron Rodgers here to stack him with my wide receiver 1 and hope that works out. And then we'll just go from there, and I'll try to find value in the rest of the draft.
Two-time
if it wasn't
MVP
you, it was
quarterback
me, buddy.
that late is pretty awesome. If he can even be like just give you a baseline every week of like 18 points, you'd be all right.
That's the hope. I hope it was Aaron Rodgers from 2 seasons ago and not last season when he basically just quit on the Packers.
Yeah.
Then that's
All
a
right.
hot take.
Juan went Geno. Talk about Geno.
No Smith, man.
I mean, there's
We
nothing
don't
to say
talk
about Geno
about
outside of the
Geno.
last season that he had. And I hope he puts the same numbers. Don't know much about the guy. I don't really have many other options outside of Geno. I mean, I think my options are pretty limited with Daniel Jones. Sorry, guys.
He's not limited.
Who I think would have been a better pick.
Why?
Agreed. Vanilla Vic.
So,
He's
man,
but-
I think it's a toss. I think it's a toss at that point. I don't know much about both of them, honestly. I think Daniel Jones, you might argue that it's the younger weapon that's coming in with some pretty decent momentum from last year. I think that all eyes are on the Giants right now.
Because their age is arguable.
year. He's got legs, which Geno does too. I think Geno just had a better season, and I'm going with momentum from last year. That's solely what I'm leaning on.
He did have a better season.
So
He's got better weapons. I'll say that.
For sure.
yeah. So there's that, and then the next one. I mean, I'm really kind of stretching here. I really wanted Lazard and Aaron Rodgers. To be honest, those were my 2 picks that I was hoping to get. Then they got taken out. So at this point, it doesn't really matter.
In the end, it doesn't even matter.
Yes, this is the Lincoln Park time of the draft. For some of these amateurs.
we have to edit that out. We don't have licensing.
Got him.
You know
Where you
what?
win
Let's
the
see
draft.
let's see what
This
we
is where
got
you
going
win the
on
league.
here. I'm gonna go
Where
with
you
my
win the
boy
league,
Adam
Juan.
Thielen.
Oh, that's a good pick. That was the pick to make.
It's a great pick in 2018.
All righty then. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Darren Sharper would have liked that pick. Quick
um,
picks.
yeah, my mom would have liked my daughter to her daughter to pick him too.
What? The,
Whoa.
what?
I don't
The,
know, I'm just
This is the part of the
Yeah.
episode that gets edited.
yeah, I should not have brought that dude up. Yeah, sorry.
I don't edit that shit. I ain't got time for that.
Oh, is it my pick? I'm over
Yeah.
here laughing.
Chiggy, McKinnon, and Myers don't care. Go ahead.
Give me Sky Moore. One of these receivers, maybe one day for the Chiefs, are gonna pop. I don't know. I hope so. I'm taking my shot on Sky.
Might as well.
Might as well. I agree. And I might as well just take a rookie who has upside.
Yep.
You know,
I like it.
Jonathan Mingo.
I like
better-
it.
the better
Bryce Hall can
receiver.
do this year.
The better receiver in Carolina. As much as I've loved Adam Thielen for many years, yeah, I think his days are pretty numbered in the NFL
All right,
now.
boys, I got 5 minutes before I gotta go and have dinner with the family. But
All right,
if I dip out,
you're
And
good,
I
bro.
don't
So
the
I'm
debauch
gonna.
I mean, I think auto pick would have been taking care of you then.
I mean,
Anyway, so-
I was looking at Ezekiel Elliott, you know.
He
I'm
can
looking
still
at him. I'm looking at
Zeke,
him
come
right
back.
now.
believe the Zeke comeback.
But I kind of have a strict policy against like not ever drafting him again. So I'm gonna go with Tank Bigsby, a guy I think who's gonna work in with ETN all year, and that I don't think they want to give ETN like a shit ton of carries all year like they did last year. And I think he can be valuable on a good offense.
You heard the man.
Good pick. That's a good pick. I was between him and Mingo at my pick, and I agree with you.
I think I drafted 2 running backs all drafted 1 and 2, so I just kind of faded at the rest of the draft to fill in the other positions. So now I'm kind of swinging back around to some long shot running back.
All right. Well, last 2 picks here. It seems like the rest of the league already has like backup tight ends and stuff. So certainly will be a position that I take. But yeah, I suppose with my last pick, I want, more upside. Obviously, these are almost undrafted players for a reason. There's a lot of speculative things to take into consideration, but I'll just go ahead. I'm personally in between a handcuff and a rookie, and I'm going to go with the rookie, Roschon Johnson. Just whatever. If the Chicago offense is going to be ascending, yeah, he's got to beat out 2 salty veterans in Khalil Herbert and Dante Foreman, who are good rushers. But Roschon Johnson played behind Bijan Robinson in college. He showed, more than requisite ability to be both a rusher and a pass catcher, and that is a useful skill set in any offense. So go ahead and draft him. And then for my last pick, the tight end the streets is talking about is the other great big white pass catching option in LA, and that's Tyler Higbee.
True.
I think he's the number 2 option in that passing offense, and has touchdown upside on any given week with the attention that Cooper Kupp gets. So Tyler Higbee, excellent late round flyer if you're going to punt tight end. And then naturally, if we played in a tight end league, I would be peeping the wire to see what kind of tight ends emerge or what other tight ends become available. But I'd be perfectly comfortable just throwing Higbee out there and crossing my fingers and hoping that the rest of the depth and upside I've built into my roster pays off.
Yeah, he's a guy that's just kind of becomes necessary for the Rams to throw to, and he does pretty good with his targets. So, kind of a steady Eddie guy at tight end is cool when you're that late in the draft. So in a normal
killer mustache too.
He has a mustache.
Killer
Nice.
Mustache.
I might like in a draft that it was going. This is going to be the last round for our purposes. It was still going. I might actually go ahead and take Daniel Jones here because I think that he's going way below what his finish is going to be.
For
Obviously,
sure.
there's risk with him. He doesn't have great weapons. He's never really proven to be a high touchdown passer. I guess his rookie year, he kind of had like a spike year weirdly.
I think last year was his floor, brother. I really do.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to be moving up next year. Anyways, I can gush about him forever. I won't do that to you guys. I'm going to go ahead and just try to.
You did before.
What's that?
That you already did the
Yeah.
previous episode. We done that.
I'm going to just take a running back who you never know. He ends up on a team. Maybe he ends up scoring lots of touchdowns. I'll do it.
Take my boy.
The comeback.
It's crazy he hasn't been picked.
That's great. I'm so happy Zeke is still getting
It's
drafted.
crazy considering he's not an NFL player.
And he hasn't been picked by an actual NFL team either. So this late though, you never know. He's a guy who can just be he can be this year's Jamal Williams and just fall into the end zone for a team a bunch of times. And if I got him, if I get that lucky with the 12th rounder, I'm happy.
Mr. Cal.
Yeah, that's what you're looking for in a 12th rounder. I mean, I could draft Kareem Hunt. He's not on an NFL team right now, but I will not do that. At this pick, I'm going to take a guy. And I looked at the depth chart. He's actually the starter in Chicago right now. I don't know how legit that is, but I don't know if Khalil Herbert is going to be the workhorse that some of us think he's going to be. And I do think Deontay Foreman has some goal line potential
Oh, yeah.
possibility. And he would be a solid plug-in in a pinch. So I'll take that kind of guy. And if it doesn't work out, we just drop him and pick up the next hot running back. So
he's a great shot to take because you're right, we don't know on that backfield. I mean, Khalil, I think, showed enough to I think maybe be the first one to the watering hole. But yeah, I mean, Dante Foreman, like he looks like the kind of back that would be powering into the end zone.
He had some big games last year. He's got some juice.
Yeah,
he was a solid pickup for me when I was desperate. Worked out.
Oh yeah, he was great last year. Looks like Derrick Henry, runs like Hunter Henry. So what I like to do when I'm taking a quarterback this late is I am a bet hedger because I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be good this year. And certainly I don't know if he's going to be good in every single matchup like the top 5 guys are. So I am going to take Daniel Jones here because now I feel like I have 2 guys in rounds where I didn't really care. My kind of handcuffy players were already taken at that point. If this was a real draft, I would have an opportunity to take more guys and fill out my roster with some true sleepers. But now I feel pretty covered at the quarterback position that I can piece it in between both those guys and try to get some bigger weeks to compete with the other teams in the league that took a higher investment in those play in that position rather.
I love it. I love Daniel Jones, man. So who knows? Maybe he ends up being your weekly starter instead of Rodgers if things work out for him.
He could be.
Daniel, are you a top 10 QB in the 12th round?
I hope so.
Very, very possibly. We also talked about that.
I mean, he did it last year. He was number 9.
Last episode.
Juan doesn't know who to take.
I just want to say my team's stacked. And if this is a real fantasy league, you guys would be destroyed with my powerhouse.
Yeah, we're really worried about Cole Kmet.
But this one's really, really going to add some things to the.
Juan's going to trade team 1 for
round pick.
Deshaun Watson.
I am open for trades and running backs if y'all need some.
Like,
damn, I was going to go Danny Jones to wrap it up. God damn it. I really was. Now I'm like, fuck, who do I go with? But here's what I will end it with, boys. Let's ride.
Wow.
All right.
Let me go ahead and show the whole board here.
Let us know
Juan,
in the comments who you think was the
yeah,
best.
Let's say Juan.
Who won?
You can real quick
the
before you
draft?
bounce. Can you just read off your team?
Did you say someone's name first? I didn't hear you.
Yeah, Juan, because I know Juan's about to bounce. He's
Oh, okay. Read off your team.
and he also had the earliest pick. So
Oh, okay. I got
my memory.
Austin
You
Eckler.
can't look at the
Yeah.
list. Oh, okay.
Austin Eckler, Brees Hall, T. Higgins, Amari Cooper, Alexander Madison, Mr. Boy Jay Cook from Buffalo, Pickens, Brian Robinson, Cole Kmet, Geno Stinky Smith, who we hope has a back-to-back powerful season, Adam Thielen, and your boy, the rider.
let's ride, Broncos country.
Let's ride.
All right, cool. And then Kief, who you got?
I went with Bijan, Garrett Willie, DK Metcalf, Aaron Jones, Chris Godwin, James Conner, Hollywood Brown, Evan Ingram, Khalil Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, Sky Moore, and Daniel Jones
And Jones.
from BYU.
All right, cool. Kyle.
All right, we got Tyreek Hill, Josh Jacobs, Najee Harris, Justin Fields, Kyle Pitts, Javonte Williams, Jeremy's favorite pick, Brandon Ayuk, Brandon Cooks, Samaje Perine, Odell Beckham Jr., Jonathan Mingo, and Deontay Foreman.
Very nice, very nice. Well done.
It's just Dante, bro.
I went with
respect.
my first pick, Saquon Barkley. Followed that up with Derek the Yeti Henry. Got me some Debo Smith action. Hopefully he can rack it up this year with Mr. Purdy. Lamar Jackson. Hopefully you run all over the place. Darren Waller, top target in New York. Well, not New York, in Jersey. Mike Williams. Deontay Johnson. Another Mike Evans. Juju Smith-Schuster. Jameson Williams. Tank Bigsby. And a teamless Ezekiel Elliott. My team name would be Two Giant Dongs. So
Yeah.
there you go,
Yeah.
Jeremy.
Make sure you hit those F's in the chat for that one. Yeah, wide receiver started off the draft with Stephon Diggs, followed up with DJ Moore later on, Christian Kirk, Addison, the power rookie duo of Addison and Jackson Smith and Jigba. You know, with a larger bench and in a more protracted traditional draft, I think I'd have gathered more receivers in the middle rounds. But yeah, I like that receiving room. Then at running back, it's Nick Chubb, K9, and then just hoping that, you know, either both of them are top 10 or at least one of them has a potential to be RB1, and then just pounding the rookies later on in the draft in A-Chain, Kendre Miller, and Roshan Johnson. So hoping for one of them to have a breakout. And Trevor Lawrence is my QB, and hoping to cash in on that stack with Christian Kirk, and then round it out the end of the draft with Tyler the Tower Higbee over there in LA.
Very nice, very nice.
That
Yeah,
was nice. Did you hear Jeremy qualifying his entire team and giving reasonings to pander for
he
the?
wants to win. He wants to win the fan vote of who had the best draft. But you know, I think this is solid. And if we were to go into the season with these teams, we'd be pretty set up for success. So, all right, guys.
I do have one editor's note before we break out.
All right,
really quick. Juan, you were clocked in at 24 ums. Just so that you know, Jeremy had stopped counting at 37.
yikes.
Who? Oh God, I'm gonna listen to
We're
how many
counting
you
those.
had to say if that's the case, my friend.
Let me see. I want to see the transcript.
I want to listen to all of it. And then we got to count the cops too.
The spreadsheet,
Right? Well, hey, I can't wait. For our draft in a few weeks here, and it's going to be fun.
Oh, I love this group.
We'll see
See
you.
you,
I'll
boys.
see you one next week in my league. So,
Yep.
all right, love you guys.
I think I won the pun counter.
Mwah,
You did.
mwah.
Oh,
Bezos.
Peace out, y'all. Thank you.
like, subscribe.
Yeah, all that stuff.